Hey there everyone, my name's Andrew and welcome to update number 8 on the Enterprise E project. Today as I'm filming, it is January 14th. It has been the coldest that it has been all winter season so far. Now I'm guessing that's going to get a lot colder and we haven't really gotten a whole lot of snow like we normally would yet. So winter is probably still on its way, but I'm nice and snug and warm in my garage here working on these projects. I've got a little bit to show you today. All the work that's been done this week has been in the warp nacelles and there is not a lot of space inside there. I'm getting some of the Bussard collector lights in. I'm going to be working on the chiller grill. There's a set of flashing lights, a set of constant lights, and just a whole pile of stuff to pack into that little tiny spot. So without too much further ado, I'm going to show you the work that's been done and talk a little bit about where we're going with the warp nacelles. So we have some work done on the warp nacelles. Now the port side of the port nacelle is just sitting on at the moment, and it might look like it's a little droopy or something like that. Nothing is permanently secured on here. Actually, this whole side here is just sitting on using the pressure fit of the pins that are the alignment pins inside. What I have done that you'll notice is I've put the lenses in for the Bussard collectors. I've just put those in with a little bit of microcrystal clear so that I wouldn't damage the lens. I needed to get that in place before I started doing too much with the lighting inside, or I wouldn't be able to get the piece around to secure that in. So this piece here is just sitting on. I've got the lens in place here, painted red on the inside. Looks pretty good there. On the inside, I've got the 3 LED red lights for the Bussard collectors that are they're gonna fade in between the 3 of them through the control board, and that's gonna give that lava lamp sort of feel to it. The effect on the Bussard collectors in the movies were done with CG effects, so it's pretty hard to replicate in practical effects here, but this is gonna somewhat represent that. It's not gonna be ideally perfect, but it's gonna do a fairly decent job. So 4 of the lines are running to do this. Getting these assembled was quite a trick. The pieces that came with the board, the lights that were pre-done, 1, I burnt them out, but 2, this whole mess of stuff is just too much to really fit in here well. So, and there's no way I was ever going to get this ribbon down through. So I'm not sure what they really expect you to do on that, but this simply wasn't going to work. So I connected them directly to the magnet wire or the wrapping wire here. There are 4 additional feeds, 2 of which are going to be for anything that is constantly on in the warp nacelle. So that's got to be separate from the Bussard collectors because they're going to be turning on and off. So there's 3 positives, 1 negative returning back. But 2 feeds are going to be for the warp chiller grill, which is always on top. Also, at the front, right at the very tip, there's a constant beacon light that is on at the front of the nacelles. So that's going to have to be fished through. I'm going to need to use, actually I cut this piece of fiber to work on that. So I'm going to have to do this fiber optic to a 3mm white LED light. So this is going to have the light bulb back here somewhere where there's space. And the fiber is going to have to snake through and pop up here. And hopefully it won't pick up any of the red. It shouldn't with the fiber. The clear white light should just pass on through there. Maybe I will block it somehow. I'm not entirely sure yet what I will do with that. But that fiber is going to have to go through here with it being lit back here. In the back is 2 flashing navigation lights. They are white, and so fiber is going to be sticking out the top here, out the bottom here. That's going to be attached to another 3mm white LED light, which is going to be attached to the final 2 leads running through the pylons attached to the board and part of the flashing circuit. If you remember, there's flashing circuit lights in the saucer section. Also, there are some more flashing circuits that I need to install, which are gonna be pretty tricky since I've put this whole thing together. There should be one right about here on the dorsal section. Is that right? On the back, anyway, the spine of the ship. One underneath here, probably one underneath here somewhere, and yeah, that's gonna be tricky to feed in, but they're all along the seams, which is a problem with this kit. If I were in charge of getting it cast and molded, I would split it top and bottom, not side to side, because there's a lot of things that you need to be able to feed through those seams, and it's just that much more difficult. So those are the next things. Also, the warp chiller grills. I talked a little bit earlier and showed you examples of the side glow fiber that we're going to be putting in to light up the chiller grills. I've got this piece cut to size now, and what we're going to do is we're going to install this. We're going to secure this somehow. I haven't figured that part out quite yet, but we're going to secure this piece of side glow fiber down onto this white piece of styrene. It needs to be attached to the styrene so that the white surface reflects the light up and gives you as much glow as possible. And this has been cut to size, and this is going to sit in, if I turn this a little bit so that the camera can see it better, this is going to sit in on top of all the wiring, and then the side glow is going to go on top along with the lights, and the lights are going to be connected on the bottom of the styrene. I've got to connect both lights for the side glow fiber and the LED going to the front for the collision avoidance light to this circuit, connect it to the magnet wrapping wire that's already going down through the pylon. So not a lot of space inside the nacelle. It's really tricky work. It's going to take me quite a while to do it, just because it's fiddly and tiny and there's not a lot of space. But we're going to get there. It's going to take me a couple more weeks, I think, to get the nacelle electronics done. But we are going to get there, and it should look really good when it's done, or at least I'm going to try my very best. If you haven't seen my earlier videos in this series, right off the bat, back when I didn't have a nice warm shop out here, there wasn't the upgrades to the garage out here, I mentioned that this is really my learning project. This is getting me back into modeling. I've done so much research. I've done lots of models when I was a kid, just roughly painted on the outside, no electronics, nothing like that. So this is really my first step back into the modeling world, and I'm using this as my learning project. So there's going to be lots of flaws and things that I will look back and go, I should have done that better. So I will learn from those and I will do them better the next time. So there are some things that aren't going to turn out quite as well as I might want, but I'm going to do my very best on it. So that's where we're at. Load's done. I've just got these wires taped back so I can put the nacelle casing back on. And now I have run these LEDs overnight. I did a test run overnight, and one of them was giving me a little bit of problems, but it seems to have come back to life. And it's not going to be running for hours on end once it's all put together. So hopefully that, I'm going to do a little bit more testing on that, but hopefully that LED is good, because it's a real pain getting into the little cluster that I put together to get that fixed. I'm going to give you a bit of a close-up on this whole thing so you get a really good look at it. These are some photographs I took during the work on the nacelles. Now, these feeds come from both sides, both nacelles. This is the final pair that had to be joined together and soldered to the main line running down the post. It was then wrapped in shrink tube, and that's done to protect the joint, so if there's any pulling on the wires, it's not going to cause a separation. Then the wire is fed up through into the cavity of the main engineering hull, and then it's fed down the post. And here you can see all 8 feeds from each side, and they've been connected to their main feeds running down the post, which creates this spaghetti type of thing coming out of the ship. All of these are going to be running down the post into the base. There are a couple short lines there that you can see. Those are for the flashing and the constant on circuits inside the engineering hull. Those have actually now been pulled out of the post because I'm going to join them in the body of the Starship to the lines coming from the saucer before they run down the post. Then I have installed the warp nacelles temporarily onto the pylons, fed each of those wires through so I can get work on the electronics done within the nacelles themselves. Here is a close-up picture of those wires coming through. Here is kind of what the ship looks like with the saucer section on. Another view of it from kind of the back side, showing you how it's all going to go together. And those are the main lines coming out of the saucer section that are going to be joined to the lines that are in the engineering hull. Now, I've started work on those Bussard collector clusters. This is the work on that in progress. You'll notice that the 3 LEDs are joined in the center by their negative post on it. So all 3 negative posts are soldered together and then joined to the wire which is running back down. It is a shared negative. It doesn't need to be separate wires for all 3 of those lights. However, the positives do. And so here the positives have been joined. Same process. It's been soldered to the posts and then shrink wrapped to protect the joint. Here it is where it's coming out of the pylon on the nacelle. This is during the test run of the lights, and so this is what the lights, the red lights, look like if if all 3 of them are on at the same time, which they won't be. They're going to be cycling through kind of a pattern, a glowing pattern, so they're not going to be all on at the same time, and that gives it that look. And finally, a close-up of the cluster LEDs in place, where they are going to be along with the first lens in place for the Bussard collectors. The other 4 wires on the back have just been tacked back to help work on fitting the piece that's going to be sitting inside that the side glow fiber is going to be sitting on. Well, that's all the work that we have to show you on the Enterprise E project this week. It's a really tight squeeze inside those warp nacelles. There's just so much that has to be packed in there. It's going to take me a little bit of time. So I'm going to focus my attention on the warp nacelles again this week. Hopefully, my goal is to at least get the warp chiller grill lighting in. So that's the side glow fiber. And at the same time, because it's on the same feed, I need to get that fiber into the very front of the warp nacelle for the constant on collision avoidance light. So that's my goal, to see if I can get that accomplished before the next update. We'll see if that happens. If you've enjoyed this update, do me a favor, hit the like button. And if you haven't done so yet, or you're new to my channel, why not hit that subscribe button today? You'll make me very happy. But for now, this has been Andrew with my Enterprise E build project update. Have a great day, everyone.